Okay, so going forward, once the rest of us are released from our little prisons at home, why should people consider going to Catalina Island? What do you offer once travel restrictions are all free and clear? Why should we go?
Gosh, there's so many reasons, and when we've had you on the island, you've gotten a small taste of it. I've mentioned a couple of times now what I probably refer to as the interior or the Catalina
Mhm.
Island Conservancy land. Over 80% of the island is devoted to that nature preserve. And when you come to the island, I don't think anybody, whether you're a leisure visitor, a cruise ship visitor, a day tripper, um, should short themselves the opportunity to get out into the interior and see. We will have resuming at whatever safer distancing protocols come into play in the new world economy, our Jeep tours and or the hiking that we just talked about that can get you out into that interior and see that. We have a herd of over 150 bison that roam freely on the island. Not a lot of islands in the Pacific are full of bison. We are. And we have miniature island fox that are native only to the Channel Islands of California, and we have a subspecies that's native only to Catalina Island. And they suffer and or benefit by your measure from island dwarfism. So they're like the size of a house cat, about half the size and weight of a normal fox. And they have no natural enemies on the island, so they tend to be highly engaging. You'll see them sitting up and looking at you. They're watching you as much as you're watching them. So that's a good reason to get out into the interior. We're a world-class dive destination, and there's almost no place else that in the world that I can think of, and you know diving destinations better than I do, Melinda, but we're an hour from one of the most urban centers of the world, Los Angeles. You can be in pristine, crystal clear, deep water kelp forests with amazingly colorful fish. They're not tropical species, they're Pacific species, but it's incredible the color. We have yellows and golds and oranges and blues among the species there, and the plant life is spectacular. Um, Avalon is, sort of like a little European village scaled community. The architecture is not so much of a European vernacular. It's much more Americana with craftsmen and Victorian buildings. And a lot of the Wrigley era buildings were Spanish colonial revivals. So they have the beautiful red tile roofs and white stucco that you expect for that. But it's all on that scale of something even much older than we actually are as a community. It feels like something almost medieval in scale. The streets are narrow, the buildings are small, they tend to be 1 or 2 stories. So that's a great place. And whether you just want to walk and sightsee and shop or take a tour, I mentioned the Wrigley family. William Wrigley Jr. once upon a time owned almost the entirety of the island and made a lot of investments in it. And there's a lot of great historical facilities where you can go and see the footprint of what the Wrigley family left as their legacy on the island. You can have a cocktail on the beach. We're also one of the few places in California where you can legally be served a cocktail on the beach.